comprehensive economic partnership agreement between India and the United Arab Emirates completes 2 years. As per some accounts, trade has become a joy for business and investor communities of the two countries because it's so much easier to do business now. So what's been accomplished in the past 2 years and what's the road ahead? To talk about that and more, we are being joined by the UAE Ambassador to India, His Excellency Dr. Abdul Nasser Al Shali. Ambassador, welcome to Doordarshan. How are you doing?
Very good. How are you?
Pleasure to have you on the show. I'm great. So, I was thinking that the most interesting part of any success story is the inside story. How did it all happen 2 years ago? Let's go back in time. How was the idea mooted of having a CEPA, a Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement? And how did the negotiations happen in just 88 days? That's less than 3 months, because we often see negotiations going into years and years and years, particularly FTA negotiations.
You will not see this between the UAE and India, touch wood. Not wood, but anyways. Well, the inside story is we were looking at what is going to be the future trend in international trade. And is it going to continue to be the case that countries are going to focus somewhat internally, trade with very limited partners, or is the future headed towards more open trade, more liberal trade, and competing on fair grounds? And so the idea for the UAE started from there, and India for us is only a natural partner that we would do this with. And so talks began, and no one thought that they will be done under 3 months, but everyone pulled through, and it was quite a feat to be achieved. And here we are today celebrating the second year anniversary of implementing it. It's been going great. Trade has increased by 16%. Our trade, including oil, is at $85 billion. Interest between the two countries in terms of companies wanting to invest either way is phenomenal. I have meetings scheduled all the time with companies from the UAE wanting to invest and expand into India, or Indian companies wanting to expand into the UAE. And what I find personally interesting is that whenever a business roundtable is held that is CEPA related, the interest varies based on where you do the business roundtable. So if you do it in this state, you will get representatives from this emirate, and if you do it in that state, you will get representatives from the second emirate. And to me, this is a true and genuine connection, not only between the two countries, but between our emirates and the Indian states.
So what do UAE businessmen tell you when they talk about the last 2 years particularly? How much has the picture changed for them, because they are the people who are actually doing business on ground?
That things are happening, and they're happening very fast. And the one question that I keep getting is, how do we start and where do we start? To them, they just want to make sure that they're speaking to the right people, they are starting in the right places, they are doing things the right way, they understand the laws and the regulations of the land, and that it's never one place or the other. Today, for example, I had a meeting with a company that focuses on genome and other medical innovations related research, and they basically have been, if I'm not mistaken, visiting India almost every month, and they have been meeting with different government and non-government entities, traveling between different states, because there was an MOU signed between the two governments when my president visited Ahmedabad. And so this is the kind of momentum that we're talking about here.
Could this increase of 16% in year-on-year trade that you were talking about in the last 2 financial years have happened in the absence of CEPA? Or do you think that CEPA is the reason why things stand where they stand?
I think CEPA is the first step to kickstart a new level in terms of, or to basically be able to achieve a new level when it comes to our bilateral trade and growing the bilateral trade between the two countries. Now, CEPA forms some sort of a base and fosters an ecosystem for companies to expand into both countries, for startups to better understand the business ecosystem in each country, to be able to expand while understanding what it takes in terms of understanding the regulations, the laws, getting capital from the right partners, and so on. Now, the next step that I think we need now in the relationship, and I believe would drive bilateral trade even further, is achieving a new level in terms of our aviation ties and aviation links. I know that this has been, on some sort of stalemate for quite some time, but I can't not think of what would happen if we were at 10 times the flights every week and 10 times the number of passengers being moved between the two countries. Our two governments would not need to do much, because the people-to-people connection in terms of medical tourism, students between the two countries, families visiting each other, businesses expanding into each country, would make sure that this momentum keeps growing over the coming years without anyone needing to do anything about them. Aviation is an economic multiplier. India is constructing tens of international and domestic airports and terminals everywhere. And it only makes sense because we have seen what aviation and tourism can do to a country like the UAE in terms of its economic growth and its GDP. And this would be instrumental not only for India, but for the relationship between the two countries moving forward. So you look at all of this and you think, this is only a win-win situation, and you will end up flying between the two countries at ease, being able to do weekends in each country, being able to hop on a flight and travel for a meeting and come back. And guess what? You'll be paying less because you will be, for once, meeting demand.
It's interesting because gems and jewelry, we thought is a sector that has benefited quite a bit from CEPA, and now you're saying that aviation could be the next big sector that could benefit from it. Do you think that there is a scope for greater awareness creation in the business community of India and the UAE on CEPA, and is the CEPA Council that has been made mandated to spread that awareness? What's its job, if you could enlighten us on that?
Sure.
And if there are any tangible targets that this council is going to achieve?
So just to be clear, CEPA as an agreement, as a mechanism, is going to expand bilateral trade in various products. And so you would see that gold has increased in terms of trade by 62%. This will probably continue to go over the coming years. But just like with every single agreement, there will always be a point where you would sit and think, so what's next? And that's what got us to CEPA anyways. And that's only a fair question after CEPA. Now, the CEPA Council is supposed to make sure that businesses better understand what they need to know before getting into each market, whether it's the Indian market or the UAE market. Now, so far, the activities have been focused on business roundtables in various states. This will continue to be the case over the coming years, focusing on different states and emirates, focusing on different fields and sectors, making sure that we are touching the maximum possible point in each and every commodity when it comes to bilateral trade between the two countries. And the CEPA Council has been doing great in raising awareness, as you mentioned, in the business community in both countries.
Would you say that given the complementarities that are there between the Indian economy and the UAE economy, that CEPA is such a success today because India has tech prowess, whereas UAE is a trade and industry hub?
This is only normal because if you look at the UAE and you look at India, the formation of each country's economy is different. In my country, it's aviation and it's tourism, it's real estate. There's also oil and gas, and we're also doing a lot when it comes to real estate development and expanding our manufacturing base as well. India's economy is quite different and varies even further when you look at different states. Today, for example, where we are is our second largest trading partner as a state. And so each state has something different to offer. So the composition of each economy is different at the local level, and that makes the composition at India's level also quite unique and different. But what both countries have and can for sure complement each other, and has been the case over the past years, is that we have been working together in terms of medical research, in terms of manufacturing, in terms of providing employment and job opportunities through those various projects and through those different companies that have been expanding into both countries.
You're also seeing that there has been trade in local currencies as rupee dirham trade, and there are interlinkages between the instant payment systems of India, UPI, and yours, ANI. So do you think that these are also playing a complementary role, and going forward, IMEC, could that also make a huge difference in expanding trade volumes?
It makes it easier because you don't have to worry about what will be the exchange rate today or what will be the exchange rate tomorrow. There will be variation, and that's only normal because markets fluctuate. But in terms of giving businesses more certainty in being able to settle trade volumes in local currencies makes their lives easier.
Towards the end, we know that there are successes, but there are also challenges. So which do you think could be the low-hanging fruit there that could be sorted out first? Which are issues that you think could take longer? What's the road ahead for SEPA after 2 years?
Making sure that we are focusing on startups and on SMEs, because they are going to be the future for both countries. If you're asking me about the lowest hanging fruit, what comes next is expanding aviation links and seeing what kind of a relationship we want to see in aviation, not now, not next year, but 10 years from today and beyond.
So SEPA is not an end in itself. It is part of a long-term vision, and there's much more that we'll see play out in the next few years. Thank you, Ambassador.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure to have you.
Thank you.